It's streaming.
You know what I was thinking of is transferring it, like, whenever it gains interest.
Brandon, help me with this.
Interest every month.
And then
What's your
Yeah,
argument?
but I mean,
it's been 4 or 5 months
you
in a
need
row.
the ability to have
You look-
liquidity. If
We don't
something
know.
is, then you can just.
It was actually pretty easy. So it's working now. I think. We're showing anyway on it, so.
Wendy on over there?
You want me to turn on the TV?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Besides,
To me, it doesn't matter because they can't make comments or anything, right? So we're not engaging.
They
with them at
can,
all,
they
right?
said.
oh, evidently.
I don't know where the remote is, sorry. It's right there.
I got it.
I'm not worried about it. Hopefully they wanna make comments, they can come.
That's what I say. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, the regular board meeting to order at 6:36 PM. Let's all stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mrs. Millions.
There you go, Kevin.
Mrs. Fisher?
Present.
Mr. Garcia?
Present.
Mrs. Lancaster? Present. Mrs. Martinez? Present. Mr. Roybal?
Present. All right, we have item number 4, consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda for this evening are the approval of the March 8th, 2023 regular meeting minutes, February and March 2023 bills, the general activity grants and lunch fund. I'll entertain either a motion to approve the consent agenda, or if you guys have anything you want to pull for discussion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Martinez, second by Mr. Garcia to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call, Ms. Millions?
Mrs. Fisher?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia?
Aye.
Mrs. Lancaster?
Aye.
Mrs. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Roybal?
Okay, approval of the remaining of the agenda or any additions to the agenda? Are there any?
I move to approve the agenda as presented. I second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Martinez, second by Mrs. Lancaster to approve the agenda as presented. I open it up for discussion. Mr. Jones, did you have something?
Yeah, so in the action items, I would like to adjust letter H. And I would like to amend that to say 1.5 million, so 1,500,000 from general fund balance to Colorado Trust.
Sure. Anything else?
That's hopefully,
I move to amend. Oh. Motion?
Yeah, you're gonna amend your motion.
I move to amend the motion for the approval of the agenda with the noted change in letter H to 1.5 million. I second.
Okay, I have an amendment of the motion to, modify action item H to transfer of 1.5 million from the general fund balance to Colorado Trust, and a second by Mrs. Lancaster. Roll call, Mrs. Millions?
Okay. Mrs. Fisher?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia?
Aye.
Mrs. Lancaster? Aye. Mrs. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Roybal?
Aye. Okay. All right, we're gonna open up the floor for parent citizen comment. I don't have my script, but the general gist of parent citizen comment is that the board will not be amending the agenda this point forward. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. We ask that you do not bring up any specific personnel or student names in your comments. And I think that's about it. Do we have anybody that would like to address the board for 3 minutes in public comment? One more time, anybody that would like to address the board?
Real quick, Andrew just texted me saying it's working well. Can hear everything good.
How do we see who's on? Right there?
All right, one last time, any other parent citizen comments? Okay, we have no parent citizen comments for this evening's meeting, so we're gonna move on to item number 7, informational items. We have the admin reports, and we're gonna start with Director of Facilities, Robert Taylor.
So go off of this. Robert got sick this morning, so just go off this.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have Director of Food Service, Mr. Delbert Gomez. Welcome, Mr. Gomez.
Thank you. So it's, since I took over, it's been quite the adventure. Pretty fun. Of course, you have good days, bad days. We had our state review a few months back. Come every 3 years. I'm gonna pass this around. It'll show as active, but it's actually closed. Everything went fine. Cerro Grande is in compliance 100% with the state. Second thing is CEP ISP reporting. I finished that up Sunday, submitted it. They should accept it, I'll know on the 15th. Usually Cerro Grande, the past few years, has been around 58 to 60%. This year, we're closer to 68%, so which means more funding for next year. So we did fantastic on that part.
So I got a question about that.
Sure.
So that's our free and reduced.
That's for direct certification, direct cert kids only.
Okay, so like, are all of our kids turning in the proper paperwork?
All kids are turning in proper paperwork, but it goes on McKinney Vental, which is considered homeless kids or migrant kids. And then, of course, you have parents who make more than school, free or reduced lunches. But it's mandatory every April, every school does this.
Yeah.
And everything went smooth sailing. It was
Okay.
pretty rocky.
I'm confusing that with our free and reduced that is supposed to be turning in August, because we just wrote a grant last night and we were looking for that percentage, and we felt like that number was a little bit different than previous years. We were always in the high 80s or low 90s.
Yeah, no, this is a ISP for the
Okay.
CT, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you
when
for
I
clarifying.
submitted it, we were like at 68.7%.
Okay.
So we're,
Sorry about that.
what you need to pass it is a 40%, we're well over that. So we're good on that part. But like I said, everything with cafeteria part went fantastic. I got a great staff in there, they knocked it out of the park for us. So the lady keeps in contact with me, everything's fine. The other state review we had was for our water. I think that was probably about a month ago. The only thing she found on our part was on our residual. Our machines out there should have had an SD card which records every residual they need. That part of the machine didn't have one in it. So that's the only thing she found, which is probably a tier 3 violation, which means we have 1 year just to post it. So to correct that problem, Robert and I came up with the sheet. So what I do now, every day I go in there, write down what the residual is, and I test the water to make sure we're within that 10%, and we've been fine throughout.
Mr. Gomez, and that's water quality?
That's
Or is
water
it
quality
water-
for the state, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all state testing. So all that's been within the 10% range, so we're completely fine. And like I said, that's the only thing she got us on. I did call the FCI Construction, asked where that SD card was. They had no idea. I guess when they installed the machine, they never put it in. And that's been the only part. Other than that, everything has been fantastic.
Should it have been installed?
Should have been installed. They sent me a picture exactly where it was to go. So when I went and opened it, there wasn't one in there. So that's how she got us
Okay.
on not recording the residuals, so.
Delbert and I don't talk enough, so we need to submit a warranty.
We can, but it's safer how we're doing it now, because now I know exactly where our numbers are when I go in there and test everything.
It's just an SD.
Little SIM
Chip,
card,
right?
yes.
You should read it.
Yeah, so when we looked, like I said, when we looked, it just wasn't in there, so we didn't have that record of it that she wanted, so. But other than that, everything's been going good, smooth sailing, so.
So I was the only one to ask questions, but I gotta brag on this dude, okay? Hopefully these students can help me. All right, listen up. Teacher time. So we came to the board, remember, we hired a part-time person so we could implement more green veggies and salad bar and stuff. And so like, that's part of the culture and climate. Like, we've heard from multiple teachers, there's people that are trying to watch what they eat and stuff, and this dude, Delbert, sorry, my language, don't put that in the notes. He did just, it was no problem. You know, he even got to a point, it was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I was like, and I just told him, and I'm not very demanding, but I'm like, and Monday, right? And that next Monday was there, and so just, I think supposedly the high school students, either that, they lie to me, they have a lot of greens on their plate, we call it colors. That's an elementary term, put colors on your plate, but just kudos to him and his staff. Like, that's huge for all of us, and selfishly, it's huge for me too, because I eat better at school than I do at home, so thank you.
Thank you. And with that being said, since we opened up that salad bar, we've got probably 95% success rate, which means almost everybody, including staff, is now eating. So our reimbursement from the state will be going up.
That's great. I'd like to just follow up on that as well, and the board member also say thank you to you for all that effort, and also including some traditional meals that are reflective of our community, and allowing your wonderful cooking staff to explore different ideas in the kitchen, something that is a little bit more appealing to kids. And I am also grateful that we're not giving them all the time these prepackaged things that are loaded with sodium. And going back to staff eating healthy, that's also an incentive, right? Is we want to make sure that our staff is healthy. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. So before I'm done, one person in here I'd like to thank. Going into this cafeteria administrative review was not the funnest thing. So Tammy, thank you for helping me find these board policies, and I know it was pain in the rear running back and forth and trying to get everything, but we got through it, so thank you.
Oh, thank you, Delbert.
I will say this, Delbert, you know, the documentation is what's critical too, and this paper really says a lot of good things about what the kitchen staff's doing, what they're observing. Auditors come in, they wanna find everything wrong, and this has a lot of good comments. So
And I did kind of find a grant, and I'm messing with it now, to help us cover cost of the salad bar. So I'm messing with that, and I did, apply for more funding for our fresh fruit and vegetable program, our snack. So just to try to get us through the rest of the school year, so you guys are aware of that. I should know something early next week how that's gonna work out.
Since it's brag on Delbert Hour, and one more thing, is we've kind of established a culture around here is like, yeah, it's good to go to local restaurants when we have a PD day or family community night or whatever, but has a couple people that are willing to stay, and do they get a little extra? Yeah. Is it worth it? I don't know, but it's nice that we can just serve right out of the kitchen and they cook for us, and then the principals are not doing the mail thing where we're just trying to scramble Big Macs and whatever. So yeah, that's appreciative too. That's kind of a cool little thing that we've started here, and I think that's very, very appreciative. It's good.
That's great, yes.
Well, thank you guys for everything you've done for us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Delbert.
I told you you could leave, dude.
Please
Yeah,
extend
stay
our
for her,
gratitude
stay
to
for
the
her.
rest of your kitchen staff.
Okay.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Delbert, thank you.
Me.
Alright, I'm gonna shift over to the next item, and I'm just gonna give Mr. Jones the floor here.
Yeah, so, we said this in front of the students and staff, that for my first year, we had a tough decision on our teacher of the year. So, guys, we met at least twice, and the committee, it was hard. That's a good problem to have. So ultimately, it came down to a voting process, and we know that Ms. Phyllis won it a long time ago, and me as the superintendent here, I want to establish that like you can win it twice, because there are some teachers that have won it before. You know, obviously we're not going to go back to that because we ain't winning it next year. Unless she blows away. But we just, yeah, you know, it was cool, and she got very emotional, and that means she cares, and I can just tell you my personal experience, and she beat out some really good teachers, but my personal experience is I'm rolling into this school in June and trying to learn names, and I remember asking you Delbert. And I was just like, trying to figure it out, but I always saw one face.
I heard what you called me,
What do they call me?
crazy lady from Mar Vista.
Did I?
That's what you get, teacher of the year.
That was a compliment. But, yeah, she just kept coming, and she was preparing for her kids, and all of that adds up, and it looks like she has a buddy and a colleague, and you're on that realm too, and so like, ultimately, it was a hard decision. She beat out a couple middle high teachers, and so, Phyllis is our, 2023 Teacher of the Year, and what we hope Travis used his language arts skills, that he wrote a really good application, and they worked on it together, and I reviewed it, and it was submitted, and so she's gonna be up for Teacher of the Year, May 3rd, at Sky High Stampede. And we'd like to invite at least one board member to go, and I know you, probably wanna just take turns, but as far as our local district, and busting her tail, and I've worked with her a lot, the school district made you a plaque, and this is kudos to principals and office staff
Everybody.
for getting this together, but it just
Oh,
says.
that's nice.
Sarah Grand, Outstanding Educator of the Year 2022-23, Sarah Grand School District, Phyllis Beagle. A grant recognition of your outstanding achievements in teaching and dedication to our students. I don't want to be in the picture, I was already in the last one, so. And Lynn Bogan was from our school.
It's beautiful.
That's all
Thank you.
So if you want to speak, you can. If you're like me in a big old emotional wreck, you don't have to, but congratulations, well deserved.
I just want to say thank you. Mr. Payne told me that I had to have a speech prepared. And I said, you know me, I don't like to speak, especially in front of adults. I can do it easily in front of kids, but not adults. This means a lot to me because I bust my tail every day. And I don't do it because I want to earn brownie points from Mr. Jones. I do it for my kids because I love them. As naughty as they are, you guys know. I love my kids and I do it for them. I just, I do what I need to do and I enjoy what I do. This means a lot to me. So thank you. And thank you for recognizing hard work, because you know what? There were a lot of teachers that I know deserve this. I know that. So it means a lot to me. Thank you.
We have 3 male administrators and we cannot take credit for the cake, although Brandon knows how to make a phone call. So there is cake, and I think we thought that the best time was right when we go in exec. Maybe when we come back, you guys will have it on your plates, and hopefully I don't keep you in that place too long. So just appreciate it, and I don't know if you've seen your cake there, but I know you're more than welcome to take a picture of that.
Aw,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's how they roll around here. Good job, Phyllis. Good problem to have.
Well, congratulations, it's a very well-deserved award.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We love the way you represent our district at the Teacher of the Year ceremony.
Well, I love where I am and I love the people I live with. People always say, why do you drive so far when you could, I live in Monte Vista, I could teach 10 minutes away from my home, or Centauri. That's not even like, yeah, I have to drive. And do I like it every day? No, but this is my home. This is where my wonderful colleagues are, our wonderful administrators, and I don't want to leave that. The kids. Well, of course you are.
Did all of you have Miss Vigil? She was probably mean back then, huh? Hey, honestly, I walk into her class a lot. She needs to be mean this year. She has some naughty ones, so, but she handles it, right, Mr. Payne?
I got in trouble, almost in trouble one day, because I've never cussed in my classroom, ever. And I had to go tell Mr. Payne and Mr. Jones that I cussed one day because it just came out. I just had nothing left in me but the bad word, and Mr. Jones like, well, what did you say? I said, damn.
That don't even get their
Despite
attention.
that.
So are we PK, or do I
Go for it.
do I need to cut it, or?
Sure,
is Lena doing
be
that?
awesome.
And then we'll.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. You guys want big pieces or little pieces?
That, he'll take the rest. Do I have this, or do I have cake? I'm not a big.
He still has
fan of
some
cake.
He can still eat whatever he wants to, like the rest of us.
Hey, Mon.
Congratulations, Ms. Cahill.
Thank you. Hey, Mon. And can I call him Mon still? Because he's like a board member now. Is it okay to call him
That's
Mon?
gotten, I was gonna do
That's his question.
that. What's that? I'm sorry.
I said, is it okay if he's still my Mon?
While you're cutting cake, you can.
Do I have to be like Mr. Garcia? Or can I still call him
You do
Mon?
know that he is the president of the BOCES board, right?
Is he?
Be great.
So you better be.
I don't know if that's your one.
I don't know, they call you Mon.
Oh, no, they don't call me
I
one
won't
there.
call you Mon
They
there.
call me a bunch of other stuff, but not more.
Anybody who wants cake? No, but nobody wants cake?
In a little bit.
I do not, look, I'm gonna have sugar diabetes.
We'll grab one and come back.
Good job, Katie.
You get to take most of it home, is that what,
Yeah, yeah.
how that works?
Mr. Garcia?
Just give me a piece while you're there if you don't mind.
Okay.
Two? Okay, just because you're.
Well, no, in a different bowl. I want to share. I want
One's two in one bowl.
That's funny.
Warren taught me a lot about, when he was in my fourth grade class,
I
he
want
taught me
some
a
of that
lot
stuff over the top.
about the three sisters and plants and.
That's Krispy Kreme too.
Miss Lou's
I didn't do that. Mine comes right back. Mine comes fresh.
I know.
Put 'em in. Put 'em
My
in.
board meeting should be more like this.
I'll get one.
There's a gal at work.
I should give you one that was.
I think donuts
In
and
the Facebook, good night.
she as of today. I'm showing her she's not.
Is that your colleague, that little laundry one next to you?
It's one of
Tammy got all the costumes on.
9 o'clock is my.
He is.
You get up.
Oh, yeah. You gotta be on.
No, yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, well, while we move on, you guys can eat some cake too.
Yeah.
Please do.
Sweet.
Or don't, if you don't want to, but I'm
You want
not.
a piece, come get something.
All right, we're gonna move on to elementary principal, Mr. Payne, with your report.
Can I go first, just so when I'm done, they get to talk and then they can go home?
Okay.
That's why they're waiting, so. Okay.
Thought they were waiting.
Mika, I'll let you guys, before you start eating, we brought in our tutors, I'm just gonna give each of them a few minutes just to talk about their experiences so far, and then I'll talk after they're done. So Mika, if you wanna go first?
Okay. I do the high school. I have 1 hour every day to work with whoever kind of comes. Right now I only have, well, not only necessarily, but I have 2 students. One of them I get for the whole hour and one of them I get for half of the hour. And they're both mostly in math, but we're pretty much open to anything that they need help with. So we just kind of started at the beginning of this second semester, and I feel like it's been going pretty well. One of the students I have is on his, like, an independent study, math for trades. And we just kind of sit in there and he works on his stuff and if he needs help or is on a question he doesn't understand, I help him walk through it and stuff. And then my other student is a freshman. She's also struggling with math, and Ms. Christensen actually kind of came to me personally and asked if I could work with her. And we do have to pull her out of Spanish for half an hour, and it's usually only on a couple of days, but if she has an assignment, we just work on that and help her kind of try to understand. She is a little bit behind, I will say, like that's why they kind of wanted me to work with her. She's just has a lot of missing assignments and stuff, so that was kind of what they asked me to do, is to help her catch up on that stuff. So we've been getting through it, and I feel like she's doing better, and she has a test or anything, she lets me know, and we try to get ready for it. And some of the things I'm even a little rusty on, because I feel like I haven't been in Algebra 1, obviously, since I was a freshman, so Ms. Christensen's really good about, I'll go in there and she'll walk me through it really quick, give me a refresher, and then I can help her out. So I think it's going really well, and I think it's effective, and I'm glad we're kind of able to experiment with us on it, and I hope we can continue doing it.
So can I jump in here? I wish Brandon should explain a little more. All right, so this is what this is. This is our high school students being paid tutors.
Mm-hmm.
So they are paid with district monies to tutor our medium level, low level students. I stole the idea from Arnie Duncan, right? This is our, it is ESSER, and it's return to learn and trying to catch up or whatever. And so when she's explaining it, I'm sure you probably gathered what she was doing, but these folks have, this is why we're talking about the policy about graduation. They have some flexibility in their schedules where they can go up, come down, and tutor our math students, not only high school, so.
And I will say I definitely like it a lot more than kind of being stuck in a student aid for those hours.
Yes.
I think as seniors that happens a lot. We have some free time, you know, to when we don't have classes, so I think it's a good option.
Have you all been paid yet?
I got paid for the first month, but we haven't been back to fill out time.
But you did receive a check?
Yeah.
So I just told Lindsay, you have to continue to fill it out.
I was doing it, but I stopped because I got a class that hour. I was working with the elementary first graders, and I had 4 students. I'd get 2 of them for 30 minutes, and then the other 2 for the other 30 minutes, and I really enjoyed going down there and helping them. Obviously, it was pretty easy math for me or whatever, but it was nice to be able to help them and understand more, and just over the time that I did it, I know that from the beginning, they really wouldn't remember the math they were doing, and towards the end, they were starting to get it quicker, so it was nice to see that progress that they had in the little time that I was there with them.
So I've been working at the kindergarten, and I take students who, I usually take about 4 or 5 at a time, and we go off into a little group, and a lot of times I just kind of help them with something that they're behind on or things that they're not quite comprehending. And so a lot of times I just take them and I help them, and it's really good to see their progress. And I think the tutoring program is a really good program for us because, I mean, if not, I would just be sitting there not doing anything. But I get to go work with those kids and get to watch them progress and get to help them a little bit with what they're doing.
So I'm the other high school tutor, and lately I've been helping just one student, and he's doing the same thing like trades math. So I just sit there and I've been helping him, and when we first started, he was pretty behind. I'd say like what, 4 or 5 assignments behind, and now we've gotten him back up to where he's back to normal, and we've actually gotten ahead of the game. And he does 4 assignments a week. So if he ever needs help or anything, I just sit there and kind of monitor, make sure he does it right, and then I'll walk him through it in the beginning of the assignments, make sure he understands all of it. And from then I kind of let him figure it out on his own, so I'm not doing all the work, and so he's learning it actually. And then I just kind of sit there and help, and it's been working pretty good. He's back on track, and I think I just like it. I like to help it. Sometimes there is some questions where I have to ask Anika, because I think she's a little smarter than me. So I ask her and we get through it together. It's been pretty good. Thank you.
Did this, make any of you wanna be teachers down the road? No?
It actually deterred you?
Well, and if I could interject, we also have 3 other young men that were in a Spanish class, and when we're doing our walkthroughs, these young men are very proficient in Spanish, and so they kind of felt like what was going on at the time was a waste of their time, so we've recruited them to come down and they work in the the elementary with ML kids. And they're helping those kids because, you know, these kids can relate, they're bilingual, and so they come down and work. We've got one in our top 3 classes, and they've just proven to be a huge asset to the program. They're helping those kids out a bunch, and that supports our ML program too, so. And they don't get paid, it's a class for them, and so that's working out real well.
You know, and the board needs to know about this because we are kind of piloting it with some ESSER funding. I think that the program can continually get better, and just putting yourself back in that old classroom of your math days. Sometimes when that teacher explains it, you don't get it, but sometimes when your buddy explains it, you get it. And so ultimately, and these 2 know that I can jump there, you know what? Because if they're talking about prom or whatnot, I'm cool with it. But if they're getting paid, they're paid employees. We're going to make sure that they're getting we're getting our money's worth. And so, like I don't know if it's working. I'm not up there enough to evaluate one way or the other. I just hear good things, and hopefully it's not just because, you know, Arnie's idea and I implemented it. But it's ultimately, I think that our kids need help, especially in the math realm, and some of these kids can do a very good job. So I'm just appreciative of all of you. I've heard good things. I heard Brandon had a lecture one day, but like, not talk about the negative. You're doing a really good job, and we really appreciate it.
They have been doing really good, so I appreciate that, and the fact that they stuck with it. So obviously Mariana didn't have a choice. She, as SNN class came up.
CNA, right? Is that what that's a good choice too, though.
She was doing some good stuff.
So, Mr. Haynes said she was doing great, and obviously you can see Lindsay down there. The other 2 get to see more because they're always walking by while they're working, and they are working, so that is good. Because you can tell if they're not, I look and they look at me and they remember our little conversation at the beginning, but they've been doing great, so.
If I can share one experience with you, just recently, a few months ago, we received a kid from Pueblo who came into the kindergarten class. And it didn't take Miss Payne and Miss Daylon very long to figure out that this young lady was very, very far behind. And we actually even called a meeting with the parents and talked to the parents about retention. We weren't gonna let this kid go on. She was too far behind, and so Miss Payne kind of lined Lindsay up, and Lindsay started working with that young lady, and that young lady is pretty close to caught up now.
Oh, wow.
And it was just real impressive, and it's just that one-on-one, and so, you know, that young lady will go on to first grade next year, and it's just because I think that's a big part of it, so.
One-on-one and small group instruction.
I'm gonna probably take something very, very positive and nerd out on it just a little bit in terms of the assessment component. And, I mean, do we have those measures in place to do the full circle
See where they are.
assessment and then continuous improvement of the program and what we do different next year and how we identify and move kids along?
Well, what we should look at is, and that's what progress monitoring with NWA should be. It should be evident. With these folks, and you guys are gonna wanna see this data too, with these folks, when we took mid-year, right? So we took mid-year NWA, and then we'll take the end of the year and NWA, make sure that all of your kids are doing their best. We probably should see a year to a year and a half to 2 years growth with this process. And I bet we will. I bet we will. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work, so you definitely wanna have that assessment to be able to say, hey, look what the fruit of the labor is and stuff.
Well, and I was also gonna just say that for you to take time and instruct and provide some targeted instruction, right? You're basically doing the job of a teacher, but one-on-one, very skilled based. That's making a significant difference, and you're hearing that here again. I'm sure you've heard it before. So not only are you helping students, but you're also mentoring students. Just by being there, you're setting an example, and that's what we need in the school. We want kids to know that there are people, especially peers, that care for their success. So what you're doing is life-changing, and you need to recognize that. Good job.
Yeah. And hopefully it's helping you too, making you a better person. Some of you will probably have kids someday, and they might struggle in math. And guess who that usually comes back down to? Y'all. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Ms. Fisher said thank you. All right, finishing, just quickly, you guys have seen it back, but, middle school and high school, working on PS, they did PSAT, SAT today. CMAS we're working on, afterwards, they went and finished their rocket presentation, some, to see who our winners were. We didn't get to do it last time because of the weather, so they finished that up after we tested today. And then, you know, tied in, we had our SAFE presentation. We had, members from Castilla County, the Sheriff's Department was here, State Patrol was here, members from the nursing program in Alamosa. They all came down to do a presentation for all them and do a prom this week, so we got to do that today too. So today was a busy day.
Good choice of a day.
Yeah, so it worked out. Gave them a little break after their testing all morning. Hopefully, you know, they all put a lot of hard effort into it this morning, and we'll see the results here in the next month or so. So that was good. Since our last meeting, we had a meeting with the Juntos. We didn't get as many people as we thought would show up, so we're going to try to set up another one. We're trying to, we're going to move down age group, try to attract more elementary to middle school kids versus some of the high school, and then try to work our way up from there. Creative explorations, we had students that attended a workshop, which was for our gifted and talented pool, and they said it went real well. They said the kids enjoyed it, the ones that went for the presentation. And finally, because I know we've got a lot to talk about tonight, middle school, we have track and baseball going on for the middle school right now. High school, we have track going on, and baseball, we saw some of you finally had a game that was above 20 degrees. So it was really nice to see people actually in the stands. It was pretty full there, so it was good to see. We got some compliments from Sanford's AD and their crowd saying they thought our overall sports facility was the best around as far as how it looked and whatnot. So that was nice to hear that. So they were giving kudos to most of you in this room for the design portion of it. So we set it up well. So but anyway, so any questions? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for all the hard
For your
work.
work.
Springtime is a fun time in the schools.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's crazy right now.
Mr. Payne?
Just a couple of things real quick. Our incentives trips, we took the kids to the planetarium at ASU. Kids had a blast. They put on some special programs for us and whatnot. So we actually did take K through 5. We went on a couple of different days and did some stuff there. And I think that was really neat. We are planning a big trip for our 3, 4, 5 on the 26th. We're giving a effort rubric for the CMOS test. We're grading the kids on their effort, how hard they work, and how, you know, how do they go back and check their work, are they done in 15 minutes? If they work really hard, then they get full points, and in order to go on the field trip, they've got to get a certain amount of points, and a lot of it's built around their effort for the CMOS test. And so we're going to take them to the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, and we got some stuff planned for that. So we're working on that. Started CMOS yesterday. Looks like it's going pretty well. You know, we had a little pep rally before and kind of built the kids up. We bought them all little Smarties candies and give them some Smarties before, and you know, they get pretty excited about that kind of stuff. Another thing I'd like to discuss real quick is Mr. Jones gave me the opportunity last Friday to attend, it's called the SLV Educator Workforce Development Forum at Adams State, and it was with the Adams State interim president, the vice president, quite a few Adams State people that work there in the education department. There were a lot of superintendents, or not a lot, but a few superintendents and people from other schools. When I went, I was a little, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little intimidated knowing I was gonna go be with all these superintendents. We got there and they started talking about teacher and retention and that kind of stuff. And so they broke us into small groups and we talked about climate and culture. And my intention was to go and listen. I didn't want to really participate because I was intimidated. And I got there and in our small group, I started talking about some of the stuff that Mr. Jones has implemented and the things we got going on here with our climate and culture. they were really impressed, and I ended up giving a presentation in front of the whole group, so, I think that's just, you know, it was, I actually texted Mr. Jones, and was like, hey, we're heading in the right direction, you know? They were very impressed with what we were doing, the things that were going on. And then after that, we got to talking about the future of education, and right now there's a prediction, and there's a lot of data that backs it, that says that 75% of the teaching workforce will retire in the next 8 to 10 years. If you think about that, that's pretty scary because we don't have people going into teaching right now. I think Adams State's got 3 teachers coming out this year.
Oh, wow.
And you look at 75%, that's probably all of us in this room will be gone in 8 to 10 years possibly. And you look at our staff, we started doing, you know, counting, and there's a bunch of us. And so the conversation went to different ways that we can start basically growing our own teachers. There's a big concern about schools cannibalizing or poaching teachers from each other. That's going to be a big possibility. It's going on now, but not to the full extent of what they're anticipating. And they're going to be doing it with money, stuff like that. The Centennial Super was there, and he went to a conference or a job fair, and he was authorized to offer a $1,500 signing bonus and help pay for school education, stuff like that. He was pretty excited. He put up his banner, and the schools next to him put theirs up, and it was $12,500 signing bonus. And you know, and then they offered several kids. They said, if you come work for us, we'll pay for your college and pay your student loans off. And so, you know, it's starting this cannibalizing stuff. And so we got to talking about, you know, ways that we can grow our own. And we started looking at our paraprofessionals, and we have some amazing paraprofessionals in this building. We've got some younger kids that have graduated from here. We got Yami and Richie. And so I visited with the professor, the president. We had a conversation, and they are going to come down the 19th, and they're going to come and talk to our paras and to those people about opportunities to go to college. Basically, the president is willing to put his money where his mouth is, and he says that they can pretty much cut the cost for teachers, people going into teaching. So it's almost going to be a free education. There's a lot of grants, a lot of money I didn't know about. Travis DeRoot was there from CDE, and he started throwing out figures of money that's available. And so I think that, you know, we're on the right track. I think we've got probably 5 people right now at least that potentially could be going to Adams State this fall to become teachers. And I think that's big. And they're talking about making kind of a pipeline, and it's a big complicated deal. We've got some more meetings. We're gonna go to one during CASE when we go up there. But they're talking about all the districts throwing in $40,000 or $50,000 to educate these people, and then make a pool so that whenever we need teachers, we can, they would be required to go to one of the schools that puts the money in. So that's down the road, and that's just an idea that they're kind of coming up with. They're really trying to think out of the box on how we can brace ourselves for the 75% when they leave here in the near future. So just some things to think about. It was a great experience, and I was very grateful that I was able to go. I met a lot of new people and had some great conversations, and I learned a ton. So it was awesome. So I'm grateful for that opportunity to go. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a comment. He's not giving himself enough credit, because so like he came back, shared it with all 3 of us administrators. Brandon and I were, I think, baseball that day. It was a Friday. And ultimately had a lunch meeting, and we had all of our pairs in the room and fed them a lunch and just spit all this information to them. And that's culture and climate. That's trying to get people, to get their degrees. And there is some potential there. But we have to treat them just like we are our staff. So Travis, good job with that, because you brought it back to us, and you didn't just take the knowledge and just let it go. You brought it back to us. I appreciate it. So I appreciate you being a Sierra Grande rep, because for us not to show up to an event like that shows that we don't care. And I think there were some schools that weren't there, but not Sierra Grande, because Travis represented us. So
Thank you for representing as well. You're getting up there and sharing the great work that we do. People need to know what we do.
Yeah, the great things going on here.
Thank you.
I forgot to do, I was gonna do our discipline report for the year.
let's just push our 2 discipline reports to May.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll have some few additions today.
Yeah, by law, we're just reporting the job. suspensions, expulsions, kind of a CDE thing. We'll do it in May.
Good. That's all.
That's it.
I remembered I had it on a separate piece of paper and.
Sorry.
All right, moving on to the superintendent's report.
So first off, I put it in the board document folder, but don't look in there, because I took it out because I was worried about confidentiality, and so that was my fault. But I just want to report on, it's Phyllis and Dana and I again, and I'm just taking ideas from other schools. I think you've seen my leadership style. Someone's doing something well, we could take it, so it's kind of old coaching me. So there's a thing that says the champion student list. Hopefully everybody received one. So I'll just kind of talk about it if you got a chance to read it. So like just read, we're championing our students, and I did it at my previous school. We did it only with 9th grade. And what we're trying to do is we're just identifying, and if you remember from our school improvement plan or our UIP, we wanted to improve the MTSS process and make sure that we're doing everything we have to for these students. And what we're doing is we're matching students up with an adult. And so ultimately the intent there is to have, even though I'm 6'3", 240 pounds, I'm matched up with a little first grader that I didn't know, and I'm trying to help him with his behavior. Phyllis was in here, he's in Phyllis's class. And so the ultimate goal is he has to rely on me, and I have to kind of be his father figure at school. Ask him how he's doing, ask Miss Phyllis how he's doing in class, those type of things. And so you kind of go down the list, and the way that these students were identified is they were tier 2 MTSS, so that it was either attendance, it could have been behavior, it could have been grades, it could have been social-emotional, it could have been those type of things. And so they're in the MTSS process. And what we're ultimately trying to do is just kind of act as a role model, checking in on them. A lot of folks in here are champions, if you will. And then what we do is we all come together and we share out in some circle work on what's working well, what we've been doing, try to emulate, try to steal ideas. But we have some norms that have to go with it. We have to check in with our student at least once a week. I try to check in with my student. Like today, my student has been gone a lot, and so I called mom.
And so I visited with
I figured out how to get it so I can see it.
Still late.
But I don't know how to show it.
I'm not a rocket scientist, but it's still late. All right, so, and then ultimately I called and said, hey, what's going on? And mom was able to explain why, and I just said we got to value education. So to me, it's just as powerful for me as it is the student. And I have to put it on my calendar and I call this little dude my dog. I say, got to go check on my dog. And I go check on him, and I am happy to report to his mother today that the behavior has improved. His grades have improved. Now attendance, we got to work on it, but ultimately it's just when you get up to the high school world, yeah, you're going to ask. We have folks that have a student here or a grandchild here, and you say, how are your grades? They're good. Let me check. And then they get on infant campus and it's like, well, they're not good or whatever. That's what we're doing, is we're acting kind of as a role model or as a parent, and I think that it's really been effective observing, eating lunch, the one thing that I can share in a circle, and this was directly from Leslie, she said it grounded me on the reason why I'm here, is for the kids. She said, I'm not here for tech and put up stuff, I'm here for kids. So I think it's been pretty powerful, and I get goosebumps when I say these type of things. So they're more than welcome to come into our circles, and we're giving them a small stipend. They get $300 total for the spring, and I think it's money well used. And I think that we're going to go over the CHRSE grant because we only got $6 grand when we wrote it, but I think it's tied right in with some extra money too. Social motion. I kind of skipped this one, the lease shares. I mean, I can just tell you that Walter has really done a good job. I mean, him and Ramon are taking this water class, and I honestly just need to rely on some of you that know the ins and outs. I think that what we have to do is we just have to find out more information, because sometimes in secondhand, people are calling me and asking me to lease the water, and I'm just keeping that same gray area where we're planning on leasing it or releasing it back into the reservoir, but we have to go find out more facts, how many shares we have, what we're supposed to be doing with it, And Walter did a really good job of setting up a meeting yesterday, and honestly, it was so eye-opening, I wish I had recorded the meeting, because some of it was over my head. So, you know, Walter, you're more than welcome to speak towards what we talked about yesterday. I'm not a rocket scientist on this.
I'm not either, but just, we did get, some information, what is it, a copy of our change order for the water and a copy of our permitting for the water from the Colorado Division of Water Resource. And so those two documents really lay out the use of our groundwater, which is our pump water and so forth. And they also gave us a good idea of the status too, of where we're at in terms of, you know, our daily use, consumptive use within the building, but then also our irrigation, because those are running on 2 separate meters right now. And, but the meter for irrigation, we haven't been able to go through like a full cycle with it because all of the grass was planted so late last year. And then they increased the water while it was down, but we haven't gone through a full summer cycle. And so, you know, there's a lot of people involved. Jason Lorenz is involved from agroengineering, and what he does is he looks at the engineering of like the grass, like what's the consumptive use of on grass, and he can come back and recommend to us that, hey, you guys are overwatering and wasting water. Why don't you water like once every 3 days or once every 2 days instead of every day or whatever. And those are things that you know the state wants to see, because then we're conserving water. We'll be more efficient with our pump water, and that's basically what the district wants to see too. Because I mean, we're the actual Trench Irrigation Company district is in a very difficult position this year in terms of drought and trying to make up ground on previous year's drought and stuff like that. So it's going to be a contentious thing going down the road, and we're going to have more people probably come to us and want to look at those surface rights. And what we need to do is figure out how we can leverage those surface rights to really make sure that number one priority is that we got sufficient water to support the school and the ground. And then we have access to be able to do something.
My request to you, and it's not just because Walter's the board president, I have to ask a lot of questions, you know, and I don't know. And so anybody's more than welcome to come with us. I think that we'll go get, you know, better educated, maybe set up a meeting with Jason and just kind of know where we're at, because I do have people calling staff members to talk to me about leasing the water shares, and I don't want to get into that, and neither do you all. I mean, well, they gave them to him, and you guys remember my story when I went to the Trench area meeting, and so I just need more, you know, I need to rely on you guys there's all 4 of you probably know more, and Winnie as well, so I'm not gonna act like I know what I'm talking about when I don't. So usually I just keep my mouth shut and try to listen. So that's just where we are in that. So when I wrote this, I was pretty much planning on just saying what we did, and I think we might eventually do that, where we just take our shares of water and they get released. Another farmer, or all farmers could use them. And so we'll come back next meeting and have more information. And honestly, contact me if you want to be a part of that, because I can work around your schedule. Maybe we can go, you know, at 5 o'clock or something and go meet with Jason and get the lowdown on it. This is way more fun to talk about curriculum. Even though curriculum is not, I told Stephanie it's not my expertise, but there's some apprehensiveness, and I'm glad your teachers are sharing that with you. Like, when's the deadline and when are we supposed to be doing? You know, on one end, I'm like, hey, we've given them some time, so hopefully they're moving along. We even one-on-one with Stephanie, and so I just reached out to Steph and see and she did say yes. I haven't told you guys yes, but the Tuesday after we're all out of school, just offer that 8 to 4 o'clock time. Stephanie will be on campus, and it's that time to like finish. It's time to finish. And if people are way behind, I think we need to kind of look at that and ask those questions in their evaluation, because I don't know what the heck they did when they got some allotted time. Because if they didn't finish, they didn't ask for help, you know. And ultimately, my goal is when we start school, our teachers have curriculum in hand. And so if not, if there's some teachers that like, I don't know what I'm doing, then maybe it's time to hire another language arts teacher to come and help us with that curriculum. What sucks with that though is you don't get to put it in how you're gonna teach it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where we are. Dr. Hensley said she's gonna come on campus, and I think that we're moving in the right direction. I wanna move faster than she does. She's pretty much like, hey, take it easy, and I'm like, we gotta have it at least by August, and she goes, we'll talk. So that's where we are.
All right, does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Jones? No? All right, appreciate all the hard work there, and know it's like I say, spring in the school district's a very busy time, trying to wrap up the school year, but in a lot of ways, you're still trying to plan for the next school year too, and so it's kind of a rough spot. But.
I really like the champions idea.
You should ask some of these teachers, like it gives me goosebumps. I mean, it's really impacted me. I mean, my little dude, I tried to take him on our walk today and he wasn't at school and I sat. He's like, treated him like a sister. He needs me. He does. And I need him. It's good. It grounds me. It makes me go down to Phyllis's classroom. Some naughty kids.
Moving on to, that wraps up the administration report, so we'll move on to the board report. And Mr. Garcia, do you have anything to add under the BOCES?
So like they said, May 3rd, the teacher of the year. And then I told you guys about how we accepted the letter of resignation from the executive director effective immediately. So we have a special board meeting next Wednesday, and it'll be to create the committee for the executive director. And then we're gonna be approving our audit, and then we'll probably be looking at to hire McPherson and Jacobson, being that we have no applicants so far.
I can report a little more on that. From 1 o'clock till 2:30 today, we were in with 2 potential candidates that are interested, very high quality candidates. Don't know if they can fulfill the whole entire, what it looks like, you know, with Jackie or Tina Gore or Nina McCullough, but the 2 folks were Denise Platt from San Juan, so over on that side of the hill. Is that San Juan? San Juan's that way. I don't know what our boss is called. That side of the hill, like, yeah, something like that. And the other one is, coffee. I told you I remember coffee. The other one is Nita, and she lives in Nevada, and she would be willing to come back and serve in that realm. And it was very good, 2 45-minute interviews with both of them, and both of them just have compassion to try to make it right. And I think that is a good problem to have again. So we will be discussing, all the superintendents right there again. So we'll be discussing that hopefully before your board meeting next Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anything else on that?
That's it.
So one thing on the teacher of the year, there's usually one board member that goes. I'm not sure if the bank sponsored or not, but sometimes I can get a seat through the bank. Can you get a seat through the BOCES? So then that still leaves us 1 seat for Esmeralda, Katie, or Wendy if one of the 3 of you are interested in going on May 3rd.
I will look at my schedule. Thank you for.
Be thinking about that. Wendy, hopefully you heard that. And then maybe at the end of the meeting, when we get to looking at the next meeting, we can circle back around to that and identify somebody who may go to that.
So Trav's supposed to turn it in. We get 6, right?
6, yeah.
So we have
She wanted
Phyllis,
to take 3.
and she wanted to take 3, and then me and you, and so we'll probably just need that 1 extra seat. Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
And we'll just put board member in there when you reply back to him.
Well, hopefully we can maybe even give them a name by the end of this.
Yeah, that'd be
Because
good.
there's Phyllis, and then you and myself, and then her 3 is 6, right?
Yeah. And then we got the hookup.
Okay.
Chill at us. If not, I'll pay. Yeah. I mean, we'll pay extra.
Yeah.
Okay, so be thinking about that, 3 of you guys, and then we can circle back to that.
I just wanted to, on the board report, if I may, we're very close to establishing a memorandum of understanding between Mexico and the United States through Colorado. And so hopefully with that, I know that last year, Mr. Payne went to the binational closing that they had in Alamosa with the 2 binational teachers we brought through Migrant Ed. The problem is, how do we hire them? How do we give them a contract? And so we will be bringing 2 more teachers this year, if you're in need. One of them is, I thought about this because it's been a big need in the Valley, the special ed teacher. So she will be here with us. Memorandum of understanding goes through, then the state will make it easier for schools to then bring teachers from Mexico, give them a contract for at least a couple of years, and then they get to decide if this is where they want to stay or go back. So just to give you an update on that. Hopefully it goes through. I'm putting some pressure so that we can get this through before Katie leaves.
Oh,
Yeah,
At the state, yeah.
Yeah,
June. She died in June.
yeah, I think so. Okay, well, that's excellent.
Yeah, it's gonna be big,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
When you talked, this reminded me, I need to give you a budget.
I was gonna do it for you.
That's even better.
Okay.
Cause I just reached out to your brother and sister and said, help me with this. Cause I don't know what to ask for, so, yeah. Totally.
Money. That's for money.
Alright. Any other board reports or anything to report on board?
Just congratulations, admin. I sit here in every meeting that I've been coming to and attending. Like, oh, that's the idea that we shared, and you're not taking questions or guidance. You're implementing your own ideas, and it's similar to some of the ideas that I've seen in other schools, or that I've heard, or that I read and recommended. With this, and they're different, of course, they're yours, but they're working. Having the tutors, the champions, it's amazing. So kudos to all of you for making it possible. I hate that I can't see you, Brandon, but
No.
yeah, this is for you
I know, I've been moving over.
But yeah, you guys are doing amazing work.
It's a team.
Amazing, yes. Mhm.
I did want to report too that on the Sierra Grande High School Scholarship Foundation, that the total allocated awards for this year will be 19,000. And I don't know if I reported that or not before, but there'll be a total of 19,000. Eric Martinez is overseeing the selection process this year, and he informed me last week that they have 8 applicants, so the award should be pretty doggone good. So 8 applicants to spread over $19,000.
Wow.
Thank you guys, we got some lucky
Yeah,
kids.
that's cool. That's not easy to raise money on, I'm terrible.
Tell me about it. We've been very fortunate from an alumni of the district, actually a couple of them, but one very fortunate alumni that sits on a board that thinks about us and supports us every year for the last 4 years, I think.
So you think that we should do something back for him or her?
If you do, just be aware that,
Anonymous.
yeah, it's gotta be an anonymous.
Okay, so like maybe
I mean, it
at
can't
least a
be-
hoodie or something.
Yeah, there can't be, that's perfect, but
Come on.
we can't do it like a press release with their
Okay,
name and
fair.
stuff, yeah.
Just give me this size.
Yeah.
I'll hook 'em up.
I'll find out. You're in contact.
Or 2 or spouses or whatever, and you know, you can tell me these.
She was here last year for graduation too, so maybe she'll be here again. I think that's it for board report. Item number 8 is executive session. We've got 2 items on the docket for executive session, if you will. Item A is pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 246402-4F, and it's the discussion of personnel matters involving the evaluation and contract renewal of the superintendent, Mr. Kevin Jones. And item B is pursuant to CRS 246402-4F, employment matters related to principals, Brandon Mizkami and Mr. Travis Payne. So we need a motion at this point to be able to exit our regular meeting and go into executive session for these 2 items.
I move for the board to go into executive session. Second.
You have a motion by Mrs. Martinez, a second by Mrs. Lancaster to go into executive session for these two items on the agenda. Is there any discussion on these items? Is there anything that we need to discuss openly before we go into executive session?
Just make sure that you bring this teacher salary, principal salary, it's stapled pretty thick. Bring that with you. I could have put it in there, but I thought it might be in effect at the very first conversation work session, that's it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mrs. Millions, roll call please.
Mrs. Fisher?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia?
Aye.
Mrs. Lancaster?
Aye.
Mrs. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Wardle?
Aye. Okay, we'll be moving on to the conference room. And I don't know if you can
Want us
just,
to leave here?
no, we're going to the conference room. Can
You wanna take my computer?
no, can you reconnect with Wendy after executive session?
Yeah.
Just do
I just
that.
have to open this up again.
Yeah, just disconnect with Wendy for now and then we'll bring her back in after executive.
So did you need that envelope?
And we'll do.
Yeah, any comment? Perfect. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a price I put myself.
Did you hear me typing when you were talking?
No.
Because I told him we did a grant. Anyway, I was just typing with both of them.
How are you?
How are you? Me, the first end of the school year is always long. It gets longer.
Before you gotta send me a letter.
That's what I asked you. I can get the letter, it's mine, I already have the letter.
Oh, I said, if you're sending that letter, then I thought, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cause I have the letter, I put it in, I said, put the lid on this one now, so I'll get it to you tomorrow. I just, that's what that's.
Is it open for the conference room? It should be open. Okay.
Yeah, I think the door's wide open.
Were you done with your, wait, I was gonna eat this back. You'll give me bubble guts. It looks so good, it smells delicious.
I'm just worried about you being clear. That's what I'm saying. You didn't see it on the agenda. Because it would be on the agenda.
Yeah, well, I guess I thought it was. No, that's what it is.
We fought that, so at the end of the day, I know we're not gonna get the tea, we'll see.
Because I sent you a letter, they can't make, they don't have to make a motion, they be aware of it, right?
Yeah, let's just email them.
That was a good time for me to.
Say that we're gonna hire this guy.
Oh,
as soon as
I think
possible.
Now you're good.
Let's just do it tomorrow. At the very end of the meeting, remind me to talk to him tomorrow and say, I think we have a science applicant, we need to get him hired, and get him signed. And
That's what I was
switch it.
thinking, I was like, okay, we'll get better at that.
Yeah, like, and I gotta get better at too, but if you guys send it to me,
Yeah.
they I'd like to hire Freddie
Well,
Freeman.
I'll get that,
And then I drag it into the, and it's in the, and it would be in the consent agenda. so.
okay. See, that's why I guess I wasn't sure how we did it.
How did Darren do it?
We always just had, big head.
That's all right, no.
That's okay.
He always had who?
Oh, this is.
Deanne. He had Deanne do it?